Hi, I'm Morgan Hines in the Phocuswire studio with Marilyn Markham of Amex GBT and Matt Orrego of Cornerstone. Welcome. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you for having me.
So let's kick off with what can only be described as the most talked about topic in travel tech right now. AI, obviously. Can you tell me a little bit, each of you, about how AI has advanced in corporate travel over the last couple of years?
Should I start?
Please.
Okay. AI over the last 2-3 years has really evolved past being just a tool that we use to becoming an actor of the travel ecosystem. On one hand, yes, it's a fantastic tool that can support a lot of different actors of the travel industry, whether it's to help accelerate work tasks that need to be done. And we see it a lot when it comes to self-service channels. What we found is that AI is a fantastic speaker when it comes to interacting with human beings who know the business well. And we think that perhaps now that we have intelligent assistants that are actually pleasant to speak with, it could lead to a revival of the chatbot. I said the words. There we go.
There you go. The bot.
The chatbot. We were all very excited about the chatbot, but I feel like now it has fallen in grace. And as soon as we hear one or interact with one, we scream to get a human consultant to help us. But we're the same people who go to Claude or ChatGPT and find really fulfilling and useful conversations can be had with virtual assistants. Now the game is going to be, can we marry the two? Can we get a really smart assistant that is today's generation, infuse it with enough travel knowledge that we now will have the chatbots we actually dreamt about, but revamped with the technology of today. And the other angle is that it's not just the bot you speak to, it's also the actor in the ecosystem. So we see that as travelers and travel arrangers and managers use AI as their assistant, we need to make sure that the technologies we deliver are actually AI friendly. And so they become both the user of and the maker of the technology we use, and they're deep in the ecosystem.
Awesome. And what are you seeing, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, as in the analogy of acting and actors, they're coming out of the wings. I mean, I've seen, less of an experimentation with AI and more of an actualization and use of it. In the sense that adoption now is finding its traction. I think as a lot of people, as Marilyn said, have found its use, in using ChatGPT or Claude or what have you, they're getting more comfortable, in those interactions. And so they're starting to imagine, what they can do with things. And I think that's one of the more interesting things about AI and where we are today is that it's engaged people's imagination as to what this can do. Okay. And so, but it's creating a lot of expectations, I'm sure.
It is.
I mean, and there's a reality of that too, because I think always people say, well, if it can do this for me, why can't my supplier or my retailer do these things for me in return? Because people's imaginations are really getting triggered now.
It is. And that's an exciting place to be.
It is an exciting place to be. Absolutely.
So all very exciting. Marilyn, can you share a little bit about what Amex GBT has done, a specific example with AI?
Yes. So AI has been, as we all know, it's a big field. I would say that one of the key things that we've done is we've reduced decision fatigue by having AI optimize shopping results and go through the gymnastics of optimizing for all the different actors of the ecosystem. And we found that in our solutions, 85% of travel booked shows up in the first 10 results that we dish up. So it's actually working. When it comes to travel managers, we find that using AI to get them more insights and ad hoc insights is a great way to interact with them where they don't need a specialist to data mine data for them. For travel consultants, we find that it's a great way to extend their knowledge. They're supposed to be world knowers of all things travel, which is inhumane or superhuman. And we went for the superhuman by giving them AI assistance for themselves to assist other people who are traveling.
Okay, really interesting. And Matt, can you tell us a little bit about why you've recently developed and launched Upstream? Why is it important right now?
So Upstream is really the everything, and we named it because we see so many of the problems in the industry coming upstream. They
clever. I like it.
It's clever. Yeah, it's clever. Now we kept thinking of what to call this product, but essentially the platform is really one of around that traditional data aggregation. But more importantly, it's about more data And even more importantly, it's about modeling that data for consumption by AI and large language models.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's for us became really a process of having to re-platform everything that had to do with the automation, acquisition, and aggregation of data for the consumption by the consumer, whether in traditional means or through AI.
Yeah. So that brings me to a really good question that was on my mind. To what degree do both of you see the industry getting its house in order in terms of data as a result of trying to prepare for AI?
Yeah, I mean, the industry's been trying to get its house in order from the very beginning of the industry. Okay, so
The truth has been said.
and so this is just part of that.
Plainly, yeah.
Is part of that evolution, if you will, but you will be judged. You will be judged finally by how that data is consumed, because now it's a broader expanse of how the interaction with anybody that's providing data into a decision process through an LLM, through a chatbot or whatever, is how accurate it is. And so, that ability to do that is going to be really, really important. But the exciting part is the technologies are here, and machine learning, which is part of AI, is going to help tremendously to create these very accurate data sets.
Very true. 100% what Matt said. I think that it has been a great motivator to get our house in order, because now we have, we can see it. We see what it can do. We have good use cases. We have the technology platforms that are ready to consume good data. And I think that's where things get tricky, is AI does require well-structured data that is governed properly, and it needs very clear service descriptions to be able to deliver the services that we hope it will.
Yeah. Right.
If we don't get the data in our houses in the industry in order, we will not be able to leverage AI fully. And so it's essential that the travel industry at large figures out how to get our data, not just each company for themselves, but with each other.
Yeah.
And making sure that that data is accessible to those who might want to use the service or those who are purchasing service. And so it is an essential part to get this going.
And it's a different data too. I mean, it's one that you can have a conversation with.
Exactly.
And that's so important, in the sense that how it's defined, what the data structure is, what the data dictionary looks like. The data dictionary kind of defines your data model and how that is, and description of each data point and how it's validated, and its accuracy just really lends itself to a better experience from an AI perspective.
Yeah, it sounds like AI's results will only be as good and as well organized as your data is. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
So what would you say the greatest impact is that the technology's had so far?
I would say that the greatest impact of AI has been the reduction of effort when it comes to actually all actors. For travelers, we've spoken about it, it's decision fatigue.
Okay.
That's been reduced significantly because we've balanced things and different perspectives on their behalf, and they just need to pick from the top that is compliant and aligned with their needs. It's also, I would say, making data accessible to everyone who needs it in a way that is intuitive. So you don't have to go looking very far to find the data. You have engines to help you get to it. Now what we're trying to get is having assistants that have the same access that you do.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, for me, living the world I do, which is sort of at the very back end of the entire industry, whether it's corporate or leisure, for me, it's really efficiency, productivity, it's accuracy, it's very operational. I mean, that's where I've seen the most, traction. On it. So whether it's with your frontline agents or, the people that are using it to program systems, this has been an invaluable tool. I mean, and bringing productivity and efficiency and speed to market, which is really quite outstanding.
And let's not forget autonomy.
Yeah.
I think
Autonomy
that having
Yep.
good technologies has helped travelers and travel managers do for themselves what they need.
Yeah.
And rely less on having others support them, which is great because you get a good balance of things that I can do for myself. I want to do for myself, but when I need help, I need you there. If you're doing the little things, you won't be there when I really need you.
And it brings a more intelligent consumer, I think.
Very much.
So just, it's wonderful. I mean, it's wonderful just to do a little trip planning. I mean, most of it, you can do for a business trip, obviously, but you can do it on a leisure trip. How helpful it is to have that conversation just with your version of ChatGPT,
Exactly,
or Claude or Perplexity or whether you can get a lot more of an intelligent consumer
Yeah.
coming to the table with what they want to do finally. Yep.
So it sounds like it's got such a broad use of applications, but what use cases are the most important? You've mentioned efficiency, you've mentioned a little bit about the traveler, but what's most important? Is it behind the scenes efficiency, or is it benefiting the traveler on the go?
In managed travel, I would say behind the scenes is actually helping the traveler. It's the unsung hero of managed travel is everything that happens in the back. When it works, it's seamless. No one notices it. No one makes a fuss about it. But the second your automated approval for compliance goes out the door, it generates stress for the traveler who now needs to, work the system to get their trip approved. If there's a disruption and there isn't automation and technology there, it leaves the traveler stranded and anxious, trying to find actually quite complicated support systems to get what they need. If the data is not well managed and there's a good way for you to understand it, it leaves the travel managers guessing about the performance of their program, and it makes it difficult for them to optimize. So you might argue those are things that are behind the scenes, but they actually impact the traveler directly the minute they fail.
Okay. Makes a lot of sense.
Yep. I mean, I think all of those things. So that's where it starts. If you can't apply it at home, and on behalf of your customers, then how can you expect your customers to come in and trust you on it? What I think is really interesting, though, as far as maybe future use cases or some that I'm actually seeing applied more, is when you look at the entire enterprise. If you look at internally within any one company, travel is an important part of their ecosystem to some respect. But it also has a lot to do with their policy, not just the travel policy, but in the their business model and what they do as a company. And when AI can now interact with through a chatbot, for example, internally through their Slack or their team channel, and interact with their enterprise data and information, those use cases become really more powerful, because now you have a continuity of a business model internally for that company that allows them to now integrate travel into that experience, into how they work, into how they do things much more efficiently and elegantly.
That's true.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, but what might hold corporate travel back as AI advances? What might be the roadblocks?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the roadblocks are, typically the same things that we've run into in travel a lot. Is accessibility, is the ability to, travel, has many suppliers. You can go with a managed travel program such as with GBT, and you're going to get a platform of GBT, but you're also have dependencies on the back end of that platform with particular suppliers, their accessibility, the robustness of their platforms, whether it's their GDS system or if there's the direct supplier channels, whatever it might be. It's how those open up and become friendly to these platforms of service that become potential constraints, for adoption.
Exactly. And I think that what is special about this moment in time is that all this that you've mentioned has existed. And every time we contemplated solution, it was what is the art of the possible with the solutions at hand?
Right.
Well, the solutions at hand have changed drastically. And all the solutions we had imagined that had constraints, those constraints have been pushed further back. And so now it's the new art of the possible. And what can we do now that these technologies are available? I think that at this point in time, imagination is going to be one of the biggest barriers. Imagining what can be done with the technology and knowing how to deploy it efficiently.
Yep.
So with that in mind, what should corporations be thinking about as they consider AI implementation across the spectrum?
I would say the first thing to always start with is education, because then you unlock people's mind to understand what is this new possibility that is in front of them. The second one is apply AI to the jobs you know well, and that you could benefit from, that allows you to get a level of comfort with the technology and really understand its power in a place where you are able to judge whether what it's doing is correct, because you're a knowledgeable human. The question is going to be, can you go further than what you know now that you have this technology? And so we always say, start with what you know and then go further.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. And just going off of that, I mean, it was really interesting because one, IT company that we work with that was applying, and writing a lot of their own agentic processes internally within their company said, I asked them, how do you prioritize what you're going to apply AI to? He said, it's what people hate to do. Okay.
Yes.
And so, look at the things that, are the most problematic for people that they don't like to do, and figure out solutions that AI can bring to bear there, because you're going to get adoption. And adoption is the critical part of this. So when you figure out a problem, make sure that you have an adoption metric behind it that says, if I fix this thing that people hate to do, I'm going to get some level of adoption on it. And then you're going to get feedback. And that's when things start happening, I think.
Exactly.
So as we wrap things up, I want to look forward a little bit. I'm curious to know, how optimistic does each of you think we should be about corporate travel in 2026, given current global uncertainty that's been ongoing?
We should be really optimistic. And there's data to back it up. Travel over the last few decades has overcome all the disruptions that have been thrown at it. Because why? Because the deals that matter, the business relationships that actually allow those deals to happen, as well as the innovation of having serendipitous conversations and encounters with people, only happen when we are in the same room. And with the dispersion that happened post-COVID, we are not often in the same rooms unless we make it a point to make it happen. We've also had a survey with Ipsos where we discovered that of the companies with the most significant growth, those that had the best performance were those that had sent their employees on international trips. And that factor is much more significant for those succeeding than those who are following. So actually having a managed travel program that is active allows companies to position themselves for future success and growth. It's not just a cost center. It's the motor that gets them where they want to be.
Got it.
Yep. Yeah, I'm optimistic as well. I mean, I see, I see the opportunity to integrate travel, like I was saying before, more into the ecosystem, more into the enterprise, to make it more of a natural event that occurs as part of how companies are doing business. And I think that, we've kind of reached that point in our evolution, regardless of AI. I mean, AI is going to really accelerate that, I think. If there's any caution to it, is to make sure that you are getting that adoption and getting that traction along the way, because every technology has these points of disappointment, the trough of disillusionment.
Yes.
But this one has such high expectations that I think people will power through that because of that.
I agree.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like a lot to be excited about. Thank you both so much for being here.
Sure. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.